Course project done by Philip White. Trojan Renovations Incorporated is a 30-year-old company who creates outdoor renovations for corporate buildings, for churches, large apartment complexes. We work turnkey, so we take anything that is a regular landscaping place, and we specialize in redoing asphalt, concrete, and general landscaping. So if it be PV pipes, if it be moving parking lot structures, if it means building anything on the exterior of any large or commercial building, we specialize in that category. I have been tasked by senior management to come together and look at the pattern of consistent failures in the areas of quality and risk. Tasked with finding a plan for risk management and quality turnaround for our long-term returns to green and to delivering a great product for our customers, for our stakeholders, and for our shareholders. And so I have pulled some of the great up-and-coming and more seasoned minds of the company that we might come together and put together a risk management plan and a quality management plan. So there was a gathering of those that were internal and external experts, those that were project managers, those that were in project management, site supervisors, those that were in the landscaping business. We brought them all together that we might be able to go through our risk management plan. We broke our risk management plan down into 4 categories. We talked about our risk identification, our risk assessment, our risk response, and our risk response controls. When it came to our risk identification, we scheduled several meetings in which we had site supervisors, we had building permit experts, we had those that were in our logistics and our planning, and we brought them together with several meetings that we might be able to strategize and identify what was our risk. We identified primarily, after we got through fleshing out, 6 primary risks, and they were permit approvals, there were equipment rentals, there were membership relocation, there were project findings, and material shortages. The next step we did after our risk identification is our risk assessment. And so we took all of the 5 risks that we had identified, and then we assessed what their impact, what their probability, and what their risk score would be. And so with permit approval, we put it in the category of scheduling. We thought that the probability of it would be high. The impact would definitely be high. And so it ended up with a risk score of 6. Equipment rentals was a deliverable. We thought that that probability would be low. The impact would only be minimum because we had other sources. And so we gave it a score of 3. The membership relocation was scheduling. The probability of high. That was something that would be very costly and impactful not only to us but to our customers and stakeholders that we were serving. We thought that the impact would be a minimum, and so we gave it a score of 1. Project funding is cost. That is high, and probability and impact because, again, it ultimately ends up shorting or stopping or shutting, the project down. And so we gave it a score of 6. And then material shortages, we put that in the category of deliverables. We thought the probability could be high, the impact would be minimum, and so it gave it a risk score of 3. And so these are the 5 items and their categories when it comes to our risk assessment. So after we did the risk assessment, we took these scores and we put them on our probability and impact matrix to look at them from a high to a low impact level to see what their scores would be. And so as we're looking at it, we can see that there are some that are marginal, there are some that are moderate, some that are critical, and some would be catastrophic. And so the team looked at these areas and we wanted to make sure that we identified them, that we assessed them, and then we could clearly see what their impact would be upon the project. And so these were the ones that we would focus on the most to make sure that we had our control and that we had our focus on them. After we've had our identified risks and our assessed risks, we then need to plan for our risk response. Any project of any magnitude will always have risks that will be connected to it, and so there must be a response to it. And so in our risk response plan for our permits, for our material shortages, our project funding, our membership relocation, the equipment rentals. There is always a response. The example that I give is for permit approvals, the work with the city to ensure that all work is up to code. We've outlined secondary work to secure contingency schedule, scope, and budget. And there were 3 teams that we have divided for our response. One would focus on city approval, the other one would focus on schedule, and the third would focus on financial. When we see our membership relocation, our response is that we would meet constantly with our leadership team. We would search for outside venues that they might be relocated to. We would communicate with all of our members, and we would plan in our budget to have additional budget costs if we had to relocate them. It might be transportation, it might be rentals of different facilities, but in each one of our risks, we wanted to make sure that there was an appropriate and ready contingency plan that we may be able to do. The last one that I'll discuss is project funding. We wanted to secure second and third level fundings. And so if our first bank or our first line of credit did not come through or it was not secure, we wanted to make sure that we had backup plans with secure banks that would help us with some other finances. We also wanted to put a budget reserve within a line item to ensure that if we were having problems in between our second and third line, that there would be a bridge gap or bridge funding that we would have that would be able to carry us over. So this is our risk response. The first step that we wanted in our quality management was to identify our specifications. And so there were 3 areas of focus for our quality that we wanted to make sure that we were clear and concise and that we were on time and on target. They were the landscaping, our permit approvals, and our gate installation. And so in each category, when we identified the quality areas, we first gave our operational definitions, and then we gave our specifications, and then we measured them and we made them time sensitive. For example, landscaping, we gave the definition, which was to install all the sod and fix all the landscaping in the parking lot structure. And then we were more specific to remove all the fixtures and to treat all the weeds, to assist with the grass, to accentuate the area, that there will be year-round potted plants put in. There were stones, and so we were specific about the sprinklers, about what valves and how many connections we wanted. But then, because we wanted to measure our quality, we also put it on a time. In other words, we wanted to see so much done in a certain amount of time, and then we wanted to see those days measured to make sure that they always met. So on Tuesday, we wanted to get it done, but on Friday, when our crew was thinking about the weekend, we wanted to make sure that they were still giving us a productive 8 hours of work that could be measured and that could be tracked. And so this is our identifying our specifications. And so after we have identified our specifications, in order to make it clear, what we did is we created some flow charts. And we thought through the flow charts that all team members would be able to clearly see the areas of expertise that needed to be followed, that there would be a quality assurance, not just the quality control, but the quality assurance. After you know all the specifications, now we should understand the process flow. So for the landscaping process, we talked about the removal of all the fixtures. We moved with the treatment of the potted and soiled areas, the installation of the sprinkler system. But we believe that after you went so far, that there should be some quality audits. And so we installed a quality audit within the flow chart to make sure that we didn't get to the end and then see that we had a mistake or things were being done wrong. But we put this in the line of flow of the processes to ensure that everything was together. We did the same thing with the permit approval process. We started off with our engineer plan submitted, our license application submitted, but we didn't want to go too far, and so we put another audit there to ensure that before we went too far, before we got into an impactful part on our scope and our costs and our time, that we might be able to correct anything that was going on through our quality assurance. Same thing with the gate installation. Start off with the removal of the old gate, installation of the poles, the installation of the connecting fences. But before we keep going even further, we wanted to make sure that we had quality assurance before we got to the end, and we worked with quality control. And so to further discuss the quality assurance inspections that we had in between, we made sure that we had a quality assurance matrix so that each person would know that when the inspection came, what we're looking for. And so we outlined our requirement, we outlined our specification, and then the assurance activity. We wanted to make sure that we were clear on that. And then we wanted to measure it. And so we put it down in our schedule. And then we identified the responsible party. And so if there was something going wrong, we could pull all of the team members in before we got to the end of the project. And we could make sure that if there was some course corrections, if there was some schedule changes, if there were some register updates that we needed to do, that all the team would be on point and all the team would be in the same place. As a result of that, the project status report is of such that our risk management, we've seen improvement in the following areas: the rental equipment and the landscaping. We have seen great improvement, but we still need improvement in project funding, customer relocation, and permit approvals. We have a contingency plan in place to see those turnarounds in the near future. In our quality management, we have seen improvement in our landscaping and our gate installation, but once again, we need improvement in our permit approvals. And so the teams are coming back together again, re-strategizing to see what can be done that can cause this to turn around. I've enjoyed this, and I hope everything has been clear.